All right, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on, Cameron? What's going on, Joanna? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Got a lot to talk about. Man, we have been doing some amazing stuff inside the Creative Closer Academy, and I want to talk to you all about it. All right, so, buddy, just hang on tight. I'm actually live on a couple of other platforms, so I'm going to just toggle between the two here. Give me 1 second, and we're going to get started. All right. Awesome. 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 All right. What's going on? Instagram live. So if you've been following along on Instagram or on any other channel, you probably know that I've got a couple of things kind of set up already, so that I can kind of come up with this series. So I came up with this 5-part series that ultimately, I'm going to go, I think like every other day, I'm going to go live and I'm going to talk to you about creative finance. I'm going to talk to you about some of the things that we got going on inside the Creative Closer Academy. But most importantly, I want to give you some nuggets that I think are going to make you some more money. Normally, what I do on these platforms is I'll come on in here and, people expect me to kind of talk about creative finance. And I'm going to talk about creative finance for all of about maybe 5 minutes because it's a real umbrella of things. And then I'm going to speak about the one thing that I think is going to make you the most money, which is going to be seller finance. Now, why do I love seller finance so much? Well, as creative as some people think it is, it's been around for forever. If you're from the early 90s or late 90s and you were up late, you would watch some of these older guys inside real estate. They would talk about no money down houses. You'd listen to guys like Carlton Sheets, or you'd listen to guys like maybe you see like Dan Kennedy would be on there. All these different people would be on there. But this is not a new strategy. It's been around for forever, like literally forever. And what's so nice about this one strategy is that it's the least risky of all the deals, right? So when you think creative, what's up, everybody? I appreciate y'all being here. When you think creative real estate is like an umbrella, right? So you've got all of these maybe people under the umbrella, right? You've got subject to, you've got a hybrid deal, you got a seller finance deal, you got an ovation deal, you have a wholesale deal. And when I first started training this out to the public, I would kind of poll the audience and I'd go, all right, so I want you to tell me which deal does what. And not too many people can answer the question because ultimately there are certain deals that are inventory deals and then there's certain deals that are wealth building deals. So let me give them to you right now. Okay. The difference between a cash deal and a creative deal is, well, it's a couple of things, but mostly it's about how many times you get paid. With a wholesale deal, you get paid once. With an ovation deal, you get paid once. So I refer to those as inventory deals. And then you've got a subject to, you've got a hybrid, and you've got a seller finance deal. So for those of you who are brand new on here and don't know who I am, my name is Mike Termini. I am the number one seller finance educator inside the real estate space. I've got about 23 years in the game. I've got students from across the country that I teach every single month on how to buy properties creatively without the use of a bank. Yeah, it's true. You actually don't need a bank to buy a piece of property. And what I do is I help investors structure loans by getting the seller to be the bank for us. And what I want to talk about today is I want to talk about the creative conversation just a little bit because I am so blindsided by how many people start these conversations off the wrong way and then want to pull out this creative card and go, well, wait a minute, Mr. Seller. After I burn the trust with you, I've got another way that I could buy property. So let's talk about it. The way I like to think about this is there are obviously a couple of ways to get leads. If anybody's ever read like Hormozi's book, and I'm not going to quote Alex, but I am going to talk to you about how you get leads in real estate. Now, when I was coming up, I did not have list providers. There was no skip tracing service. There was no CRM. Everything was done on paper. The only thing we had was the county recorder's office. And I specifically remember back in the early, maybe 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, things were just starting to come online. And as I was searching through it, they would take all the documents literally with everybody's information out in the open. Like I would find social security numbers, I would find addresses, and the time was very different back then. You knew it wasn't the right thing to like steal people's social security numbers. But if I think back to that time, I'm like, wow, like it's absolutely crazy that some of that stuff was kind of advertised. So we didn't have any of the stuff that you have today. And if I look at most of the people who want to get into real estate, most of them love the idea of being able to build a portfolio or put some rentals under their belt. This way they could provide for their family and they become real estate investors. But what happens is that most of you who get started in this business don't have any money, as did I. When I first started, I had literally zero money. I couldn't rub two nickels together. And you're always looking for a way to try to buy a piece of property without any money down. So what do you got to do? You've got to acquire a skill. And the one skill that you need to have in order to put deals together is going to be sales, right? You've got to be able to sell. And what I found inside the industry is that most of the stuff that's out there for you to take advantage of regarding sales is geared towards a scaled operation. What do I mean by that? I mean, you probably watch Instagram. You watch some of the guys on Instagram and you're like, I want to be just like that, right? You get shiny object syndrome. You're like, I want to be just like that. So you get sold a bag of goods. And they say, well, this is what you have to do first. Then you've got to do this. Then you've got to do this. And then if you don't get any response, you have to do this. And then you have to do this and this and this. And the way it usually goes is like this. You buy a list. You filter down that list to your criteria. In other words, you can get on PropStream. You can get on ListSource. You can get on, I don't know what else is still out there. And you can filter these property lists, right? It has all the property data. And some give you more filters than the other. So you filter it all down and you niche down your list because you say to yourself, well, I want to buy these kinds of properties. I'm going to try to rest this here. Do that. Let me do that. So you literally filter down these lists and you get this list under control, and then you've got this list of all this property data and you're like, what do I do with this thing now, right? And if you've ever taken a mastermind or you've taken somebody's sales training or you've taken some training from anybody in the real estate industry, they'll have you believe that that's the way that you have to go. So everybody jumps in and everybody does the same thing. Everybody pulls a list from PropStream. Everybody skip traces the list. Then once you skip trace the list, you got to buy a dialer. So now you bought a list, you bought a skip tracing platform, you bought a dialer, you bought a CRM. You then hire a cold caller out of the Philippines or wherever they tell you to hire them from, and then you meet with this cold caller on Zoom, and you go over what you want them to do, right? And there's a real disconnect because, and I'm gonna work my way in a lead, so just hang with me here. And there's a real disconnect because the cold caller that you hire has no context whatsoever when it comes to real estate. The reality is that if you're just getting started in real estate, you probably don't have much context either, right? Because all they show you are the systems and the processes. And I remember polling people or interviewing people before they would get into the training, and I'd go, So tell me a little bit about your business. They go, yeah, I bought PropStream and I bought a dialer and I bought a skip tracing service. And then I got this cold caller from the Philippines, but then I realized I had to train them, and I couldn't spend like 3 days a week like training them every single day, and it was hard for me to keep track of them, like whether they were making phone calls or not. Then I heard I had to keep track of KPIs, and I don't even know what a KPI is, but I know it's probably important, and I don't know what I should be looking for or what I shouldn't be looking for. So I got rid of that cold caller, and then I hired a company. And once I hired the company, I thought the company was going to train those people for me. Uh, Only to find out that I was getting leads, but I wasn't getting leads. So then I decided maybe I wasn't going to do cold calling anymore, and I bought Launch Control, which is a texting platform, because I was getting a better response with text than I was with getting cold calling. And I was going real good for a little while. Like, I was getting all these leads, but then once the leads came in, I couldn't keep track of them, and I don't know where they went. And ultimately, most people's CRMs look like this. This is what most people's CRMs look like. Literally, this is how you keep control of what the hell is going on inside your real estate business. And it's absolutely crazy to me that people spend money, right, on all of these systems and these processes without really understanding the skill that has to happen in order for you to put real deals together. Okay. So you buy all of this stuff, you get frustrated. 90 days later, you cancel all the services. You're looking to give up. You don't know what you did wrong. You're like, man, I'm banging my head up against the wall. I'm not gaining any traction. And I'm here to tell you it's because there's always one move in business, like any business, that's off the board or out of your range of sight that you can't see, that ultimately changes the game for you. Okay. And 90% of the time, in my opinion, it's seller finance. But if I use the words creative finance or creative real estate, you go, yeah, I want to do creative real estate. But you don't really understand what creative real estate is, because you have to understand three parts to this business. You have to understand what happens in the beginning when you buy a piece of property. Then there's the middle piece, whatever you choose to do with the property, or some inexperienced investors would say it's my exit strategy, when it's not an exit strategy. And then the last piece of the puzzle is the sale of the property. Okay. And if you are able enough or are lucky enough to stay afloat inside the business where you start generating leads, what happens is that you don't have the money behind you. So you acquire this wholesaling skill set to try to buy properties at a discount. And what you ultimately do, and I hate to use this, but what you ultimately do is you fake it till you make it, because you don't have the money to buy the property, but you're willing to take a shot and learn from this script so that you can get on the phone and try to convince a seller to sell the property at a discount. Now, if you're not convincing them, then you probably have enough money to put a ton of data into a funnel and have it drip out a steady drip, which is the people that you see on Instagram. You go, I want to be them. I want to do what they do. But what you don't see is you don't see the money behind them that it takes to put that much data into a funnel to have it drip out consistently every single day. And then all of the systems, the processes, the training, the computers, the phones, the CRMs, the KPIs, the dialers, everything that goes in to try to keep that together. And ultimately what you're looking for is you're looking for that one motivated seller where you get lucky that day because you know that they've been contacted before. They've been contacted by somebody in the past, and you're usually number 5 or number 6 or number 7 on the day. And I would always ask some of my students, I'd go, when you were a wholesaler, like what made you think you were going to be lucky caller number 9 on the day? What did you do differently? Like, did you speak to them differently? Did you not ask about the condition of the house? Did you understand the difference between an outbound lead and an inbound lead? And they go, no, I just figure a lead is a lead. And I go, that's the problem. Each lead that comes through the door has got to be handled very differently. And I've got a bunch of students that I'm working with right now where I've got one student who's been at this game for a long time and had gotten in the business and caught like a good rip, maybe 100,000, right? But this was a year ago when anybody could have got in here. I mean, you could have came into this business. I could teach my dog how to wholesale, literally. And you come into the business and you get a rip and you get a little taste. You're like, oh man, that was sweet as shit. And then what happens is the market turns, which is what happened, right? We've had, I think, 20 or 22 interest rate hikes over the past 12 months, something ridiculous. You get this rip, and then you believe it's going to stick around forever, and it doesn't. And the conversations get more difficult. And as they get more difficult, people drop out of the game. And when they drop out of the game, you say to yourself, well, everybody's gone, or maybe I should stay in there, but I don't have any money. And I put myself in a debt, and now I've got to wholesale myself out of debt to like stay afloat. And if I had a nickel for every time I heard that story, I would be filthy, filthy, filthy rich because it's always the same story. So the biggest constraint in the business is when the leads come in, if you're on the phone and you don't feel like you have the money behind you, you're willing to take the time to acquire this one skill set that's formulated for a scaled operation to find that one needle in the haystack. And at that point, you're not convincing them because you found the one that wants to sell. You put enough property data into a pipeline where it spit out the one, right? And then you get the one, and maybe your skill is a little bit better than the other guy who made the phone call. So you're able to kind of maybe put that deal together, right? And I watch numbers from people, and I watch KPIs, and I watch what people are posting, and they're doing 30 and 40 and 50 and 60 deals a month. But the reality is that there's a pretty heavy cancellation rate when it comes to that stuff. You're working on a 50% profit margin, and it's a machine that you continually have to feed. So why is what I do different any better than that? Well, number one, when a lead comes in, whether it's an inbound lead or an outbound lead, they're very different leads. So an inbound lead is somebody sitting on the shitter. They've got their laptop open and they have a pain point. There's a reason why they're filling out the form online. I don't spend my time filling out forms, right? If I'm only filling out a form to sell my house fast, if I've got an issue. So that's an inbound lead, right? They're sitting down at home. They've got an issue. They fill it out. They send you the form. You get on because you go, it's a lead. It's a lead. And you automatically start going into this pitch. Hey, Mr. Seller, how you doing? It's Mike from 123 Capital Group, and I'm calling about your house on 456 Main Street. And, I want to let you know that I buy property in one of two ways, and it's identical to the 10 people in front of you. Identical. And then that prospect, because it's not even a seller yet, that prospect says, just give me an offer. You get stuck, and you're like, I don't know how to answer that. I don't know how to answer that. So you run your script and you open it up and you go, man, if I just would have known that I should have answered it like that, shit. All right, I fucked that one up. We'll keep that for next time. And then you start writing down notes and you're trying to figure out like all the objections and the rebuttals. And I can give you a list of 10,000 objections and rebuttals, and they're not going to do you any good. And the reason why they're not going to do you any good is because if all you do is wholesale, you are not in real estate. You are into sales and marketing. That's what wholesaling is. You have nothing to do with real estate. You choose to pick wholesale because it's the lowest barrier of entry to get into real estate. And so you believe that you've got to wholesale a whole bunch of houses before you can put a multi-family deal together, which is bullshit. Total bullshit. I know many, many, many investors who had zero money, have never bought any kind of multifamily property in their entire life, and put deals together pretty quickly. So the leads that come in, when they come in, you get excited and you go, okay, I got to close this lead. I need this one call close. I got to get this thing. Like, I don't want to lose it. I know people have been in front of me. Like, what am I going to say? You get nervous. You got all this pressure. You put your investor hat on and you're ready to go and you're banging the phones. And as you're banging the phones, you're banging your head up against the wall because you're not getting anywhere. You're just not getting anywhere. You're not getting anywhere. And it's because the scripts that you use are formulated. I'm going to say this again because then I'm going to liken it to a store. So the scripts that you use are developed by scaled teams to do volume calling. Volume. And you, as the solopreneur who have never built a team, never probably had a business, look at the guy with the scale team and go, I want to be him. So you run out, you buy all of the shit only to screw it up, cancel it all. And then you're like, what do I do now? Well, let's talk about leads for a second, because no leads, no business. Doesn't matter whether in real estate or power washing. Does not matter, right? You've got to have leads. So you've got an inbound lead where people are on and they're punching in their stuff, they're sending it in, they're sending it in for a reason. Then you've got outbound reach. Now, the reason why most people go with quote unquote cold callers is because of the cost. They go, well, PPC leads are just too expensive. So, in your mind as the investor, you're saying to yourself, I can generate more leads, even though you don't know what a lead is. I can generate more leads by sending out a bunch of property data, right? And then as they come in, I just look at them and I go, man, I got leads. I got leads here. But here's the real issue. There is a huge difference between somebody who wants an offer and somebody who wants to sell their property. And you haven't trained your cold caller to even ask that question. So they come in and you go, I got a lead. And what you do is you allow that seller to push you around and back you into a corner. Because they sat down on the shitter. Let's just say it was PPC. They sat down on the shitter and filled out the form. Then when they filled out the form, you call them up, right? Speed to lead. You call them up and you go, hey, Mr. Seller, it's Mike at ABC Property Group, and I saw you just filled out the form online. And they go, yeah. And you go, yeah, okay, well, perfect. I appreciate you calling. Can I ask you a couple of questions about the property? And they go, yeah, what do you want to know? And what it does is it takes the prospect and it puts the prospect right here and it keeps you right here. And you're constantly trying to reach for the seller and go, man, if this fucking guy or girl would just talk to me, like, what am I doing wrong? Like, I'm going to make him an offer. The problem is that you don't know if they want an offer or not, or if they want to sell. So let me give you some tips, okay? Because I've got a very unique way of not only pitching seller finance, but I've got a very unique way of not getting my ass kicked in by a seller who's looking for an offer. Because I don't make offers. I do not make offers. And what you need to understand is the psychology behind it, that when you take it away from them, they want it more. Take a piece of candy away from a baby, the baby starts crying and go, give me more, give me more, give me more. It's the exact same concept. So you need to understand that the psychology behind the seller is, well, because they go into the call, even though they're fucking around with you and telling you that they want an offer, what they're really hoping for is they're hoping for a sucker. Think about that. There were 10 motherfuckers who called before you. Again, all using the same list, the same skip tracing, the same script, the same everything. And all 10 tried to anchor him at a low offer. And all 10 got the answer no. And then they fill out the form and it comes to you and you get excited that you got a lead. Let me tell you how you handle that lead. The way I see this business is like I own a store. All right, this is my store. And even though inside my store, I'm going to back up. It's my store. And I need to get people into my store. Now, normally, there's a couple of ways for me to get them in the store, right? And if we were in a typical store, clothing store, we've got a big name on the store and the people walk in and they decide whether or not they're going to buy something. Yeah? You walk in, you look through the clothing rack, you go, I like that pair of jeans, I like that shirt, and I decide whether or not I'm going to buy. But in my head, I go, you know what? Marshall's sucks. I'm going to go over to Macy's. So I leave the store and I go to another store to buy something that I like. In real estate, I like to think that I have a store and I'm trying to get people into the store. The only difference here is that they're not coming to buy. I'm trying to get them to sell. And your script, your scaled operation script, is all geared towards somebody wanting to buy something. So you constantly feel like you've got to convince somebody to sell you the property. That is the most idiotic fucking thing I have ever heard of in my entire life. And I watch Instagram all day with schmuck after schmuck after schmuck doing it that way and getting their nuts kicked in constantly. And it's like, have you never put yourself in the shoes of the seller? Think about it. That seller wants one thing: the most money they can get. And you've got to buy it at a discount. So how are you going to do that? How are you going to do that? You're not. So you put more data into the hopper and you try again. And then you try again. And then you try again. And you keep trying and you keep trying and you get the same result over and over and over and over again. And you make absolutely no headway. See, when you come into my store, I want to know why you're there. So my cold callers know what to ask because not all leads are the same. So when a PPC lead comes in, and one of my students had a great phone call today, great, and put it up into the Slack. When you come in on an inbound lead, I want to know why you're there. So the lead comes in and I go, "Hey, John, how you doing?" They go, "Good, how are you doing?" All of a sudden they're a little standoffish. "Good, how are you doing?" I go, "I'm doing great." Tonality, cadence, a little authority. "I'm doing great. Like, I don't need you to be here. You've got to want to be here. I don't need you to be here. I'm doing great. How can I help you?" And with that one line, "How can I help you?" there's a pattern interrupt that happens because they're like, "Wait a minute, how can he help me? Well, isn't he supposed to just give me an offer?" No, I don't make offers. You want an offer, go to fucking Open Door. I don't make offers, I buy property. So, John, how can I help you? "Well, I was thinking about selling my house." "Okay, thinking about it?" And then quiet. "Well, yeah, I've been thinking about it." "How long have you been thinking about it for? Have you tried to put it on the market?" Blah, 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 blah. And you go through the motions, right? And instead of me trying to anchor them at a low cash offer and then having them say no, lose the trust right out of the gate. I lose the trust, right? And as soon as I lose the trust, I then decide I'm going to pull out my seller finance or my creative option, and I'm going to try to explain to the guy who I just tried to steal the house from that now I buy properties in different ways. This one chess move, this one skill set, if done correctly, the way my students and I go into a conversation is we are looking to structure the not the impossible deal, but we're asking questions to avoid all of the bullshit. And by asking questions to avoid the bullshit and have me call you out without calling you out, because I know why you're on the phone. You spent the time with the cold caller, whether they said to you or not, would you like, because your cold caller asked the wrong fucking question. Your cold caller doesn't even know the questions to ask. They have no clue because most people don't have a clue. So you go, well, if we get motivation, condition, and timeline, it's a lead. That is not a fucking lead. That's not a lead. And when they're asking the question about motivation, and they go, yeah, well, if the offer comes in, the right, and they go, okay, so you're interested in offer? Great, let me push that over to my referral partner. And then you get the lead. You believe it's a lead. You spend 45 minutes talking to somebody who wanted an offer. How fucking crazy is that? You see, I don't make a move until I know why you're in my store. Because whether you came in on an inbound lead or you came in on an outbound lead, you took the time. You took the time. And I think what most people do is they mistake my directness, my straight shooting as like I'm being rude. I'm not being rude. I want to know why the fuck you're in my store. Because I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, hopefully I get a sucker on the line who's going to give me the most money possible. Well, guess what? You're on the phone with the right guy. The only part that you got wrong is that you ain't got no sucker on the other line. I am the guy who can give you the most money, though. So if they spent the time with a cold caller and they've said whatever, right? And they come in there and they go, I just want an offer. You flat out tell them, I'm sorry, I don't make offers. And they go, what do you mean you don't make offers? And they go, I thought from your referral partner, it says that, you guys make offers. Well, we do make offers, but it doesn't sound like you're ready to sell your property. Well, I'll sell it for the right price. So again, it doesn't sound like you're ready to sell your property. We can cut through the bullshit and get on to the next call. And today, my guy REI Tony over here got on the phone with a seller. It was an inbound lead, speed to lead, inbound. And he goes, and he didn't get nervous. He didn't get nervous and go, man, I got a lead here, man. This is going to be great. Because I taught him how to calm down. I said, chill, man. You ask the right questions, we're going to put deals together all fucking day. And wouldn't you know it, in the past 2 weeks, after a year and so many months of banging his head up against the wall, asking the questions the wrong way, with one tweak, this guy has been on fucking fire. Fire. By feeling like you're in my fucking house. You've come to me. I didn't come to you. You said you wanted, so now I'm going to put it on you. And we don't give sellers an opportunity to lie to us. Where what you do is you allow them to kick you in the nuts, try to convince them to sell them at a discount. They say no, and then go, wait a minute. Let me tell you about this other way I buy property. Now, sometimes I can give you more than what you're asking for. Are you open for a creative option? Are you open for a creative option? I got a great idea. Why don't you be the bank for me, seller finance me the house. I'll give you 6% interest. Give me the terms that I need, and I'll balloon you out in 30 years. Okay. Yep. I wish you good luck with that one. Because the next thing you're going to hear is going to be a dial tone. It's going to be over. But if you go into the conversation knowing how to structure it so that they can't get in front of you, and you say to them, hey, listen, I want to know why you're in my house first. What it does is it keeps you here and them here. And then through the questioning, you can find out if there's a creative option. And when they go, are you going to just give me an offer? You can very easily fall back on, it's exactly what the last 10 guys did to you. They all made you a lowball offer. I'm trying to understand whether or not I can give you more money. So you can answer my questions, or you can get back online and fill out another form. Fucking point blank. That's it. Point blank. The way you're taught to have these conversations is fucking crazy. Because they don't work. They only worked for scaled guys. My man Arnulfo is in here. He'll tell you. My man Gabe is in here. He's banging the phones every day. So the way you treat a lead is important. My man Gabe and his partner just got out of the training. They just put they were 4 weeks out of the training and put a creative deal together. By understanding how to structure the questions. And the more you know about real estate, the better off you're going to be. So the question is, what's the one skill set that's going to exponentially 10x or 20x my ROI, not only for this quarter, but going into 24 and 25? The answer is understanding creative real estate. And there's never been a better time for you to understand it because 80% of your competition has already left the game. So it's wide open. We solve problems, not convince sellers. That's right. Because there's a big difference between trying to convince somebody and trying to persuade somebody. And healthy persuasion. So here's the difference between convincing and persuading. Convincing is me trying to get somebody to do something for me for my own reasons. I'm trying to convince you to do something because I want to get that cake. Persuading is me merely helping somebody make a decision that they've already made. They just need a little help getting it over the finish line. And that one decision always boils down to money. So if you understand how to give them more money, see, in a room full of wholesalers, you all can't compete. It's impossible. Because if you were in a room and everybody's trying to buy it at a discount, if you walked up to that seller and go, "Psst, hey, Mr. Seller, as soon as you're done listening to these guys, I can give you more money. I'll be standing over here." You bet your ass that's going to register. So very, very important to understand how this works, okay? Truth, yes, sir. We solve problems. Let's go, let's go, let's go. All right, I got something in here. I want to take some questions from you. Want to take some questions. Let's go. Tony says they are buying our money for their property, not the other way around. This is a good way of looking at it. They spent the time to either fill out the form or took 10 minutes to talk to the cold caller. How can I help you? And it's such a pattern interrupt for them. They're like, what do you mean? Like, how can you help me? I didn't expect that. Well, fuck, if you're going to fake it because you ain't got the money and you're going to try to buy it at a discount, you might as well feel like they're in your store. Right? Might as well feel like you're in the store. Mobile Home King, what's up, brother? Home Run Rod, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? All right. So I want you to do me a favor. There is a little, what's up, Equity Investments? What's going on? What's going on? For those of you who took advantage of the seller finance training over the weekend, I see some of you in here. Philip, what's going on, man? I hope you're doing good. Phil's in the training. REI Tony, what's up? What's up? What's up? For those of you who took advantage of the seller finance training at 50% off, thank you. That deal is since closed. For those of you who are just getting started, I've got a little something for you, okay? So I'm going to put this in here now. So don't do this yet because I want to tell you what this is about. Oh, nope, that's wrong. Sorry. Forget about that. I hit that the wrong way. It's Cash 100. Boom. Not the first one, the second one. Okay. So if you want to understand how to turn unmotivated sellers into motivated sellers, I've got something for you. So I come across two types of investors. I come across those who are just getting started, who are like stuck and confused and frustrated. You've spent your money on all the systems and the processes only to find yourself without any cake, right? You're like, man, this sucks. And then I find the seasoned investor that is looking for a way out of that wholesale kind of hamster wheel. Because if you're not the type of person to build a team and you're not the type of person that understands culture and you don't understand how to motivate people and move people and train people day in and day out and buy the brick and mortar and have the computers and have the phone systems and the follow-up systems and the drip campaigns and all that stuff, and you're not that organized, because it takes a pretty specific person to do that. If you're not that organized, there is nothing for the solopreneur. Nothing. And everybody I come in contact with is a solopreneur. And it's usually the people who come to me after they try to scale their operation without even knowing what the hell it was about, that they finally settle into creative real estate, because this is not a strategy that's like brand new. This has been around forever. Unlike the other strategies that you guys deploy that are only good until everybody knows about it, which is wholesale. So the golden age of wholesale is coming to an end. The assignment clause has been around forever. Now, do I think you could still make money in wholesale? Absolutely. Do we still wholesale deals? Absolutely. But if your intention is to build a real estate portfolio for yourself, for your family, for your loved ones, everybody's got their own reasons why. I've got 3 kids. I know why I do what I do and why I educate as many people as I do is because I do it for my kids. I do it for my I wish I was doing it for myself, trust me. So if you are a solopreneur and you're stuck or you're confused or you're frustrated, what I want you to do is I put together this 10 by 10 mini course that I've been working on. I made a story about it today. So it's 10 modules and it's an easy little it's a easy little theory. So I don't technically teach theory, but in this course I do because it's more set up for people who want to understand why it's so important and how it can help grow your business exponentially. So what I teach in this is I teach the theory and then I teach the how to on how to get started in creative. More importantly, how to get this conversation started so that when you're on the phone, you're not feeling like you got to dodge a bullet. You're not feeling the pressure. We alleviate all the pressure, the whole 9 yards to make it so easy on you. Okay. So it's called a 10 by 10 mini course. And what you're going to get is you're going to get right at about 10 hours of training, which is a ton. If anybody's been through my training here, you already know that coming through my shit is like literally drinking from a fire hose. So I just dialed it back a little bit, made it super affordable. You'll get 10 hours of video for you to digest. I'm going to give you something called the Creative Closer flow chart. And what this is I've made up a chart of how to get into the conversation. So there's really 6 questions that I want to know when I get into a conversation. That gets me farther along in a conversation than most people. But the thing is that, well, I'll give you the 6 questions right now. I'll wait for you to grab a pen and a piece of paper. Grab a pen and a piece of paper because this is going to help you, whether you buy this thing or not. So I am happy to help you. 6 questions. And they're formulated in a way that when I ask them, it tells me what type of deal I have or what option I have, right? And these questions you've heard of before, you just haven't sequenced them, okay? Where everything about me is sequencing everything so that you can't throw the objection in my way. You can't throw me a curveball. And if you throw me a curveball, I'm going to barrel the fucker up and knock it out of the park. So don't throw me the curveball. The same way you think a lead is a lead and they come into your system, you're like, I get excited where I want to know why you're here, right? I sequence it so that you cannot fuck with me. And that's the most important thing because if you feel like you can't get fucked with and you feel like you have the confidence to go into these conversations and you feel like you can buy these properties in different ways, you are going to stand out from the crowd in such a way that people are going to want to do business with you. I had a guy text me from a restaurant the other night that I left a message from. He's got 10 properties. And he's like, Mike, I just want to let you know, I didn't forget about you. I'm at a restaurant with my wife. They're coming to me for a reason. And they're coming to me as I build real rapport. I don't talk about the fucking weather and all that stuff. If you can't transfer the belief to the seller that you're going to be the one to get it done, you're banging your head up against the wall. That's what real rapport is. And it's how deep are you going to go in that rapport that's going to let a seller know that you're the guy they should be dealing with or you're the gal that they should be dealing with. Instead of you reading line for line on a script and worrying about whether or not you've got the fucking objection answered the right way. Let's cut through the bullshit. Simplify this down so that you can understand it. Go into a conversation looking to structure the, like, not the impossible deal, but on this flow chart, you get these 6 questions, right? You get, fuck, the script is right. Because there is no such thing, Arnulfo. It's just the craziest shit. That script is not a bad script if you've got hundreds of bullshit leads coming through. Now, not only are you having to sift through leads, you're having to determine whether or not it's a qualified lead. And then you've got to get into actually closing the deal, which is a whole thing. So what this creative sequence does is, here's the 6 questions, okay? Are you the owner? Are you willing or wanting to sell? Right? We don't want to make offers. We want to know if you're ready to sell. When are you looking to sell? That's going to give us our timeline, right? So now we know, are you the owner? Are you the one on the deed? We don't have to wait 30 minutes to find out that somebody else is on the fucking deed after we have 30 minutes of conversation. We want to know, are you the owner? Are you willing or wanting to sell? The difference between an offer and wanting to sell. Then when are you looking to sell? Then we're going to structure the timeline, right? So that we know, hey, listen, if this person is waiting 6 months, we got to get off the fucking phone, right? Is it a primary or an investment? This is so incredibly important. And if you answer the phone on a cold call and you go like this, hey, yeah, I just got a call from my referral partner and it says you're interested in selling your home. And it's not their home and it's their rental property, you're going to look like a schmuck. And you're not going to fucking go any further in the conversation. So you have to know which words to speak so that you don't put yourself in a bad position where you put yourself up against the wall and go, I got a call from my referral partner, says you're interested in selling your home. That's not my home. You're like, oh, okay. Now you look like an idiot. So we're trying to eliminate you look like a schmuck, try to eliminate you getting the curveballs, and try to eliminate so that you can literally, as you're going through this, you're trying to determine whether or not you're going to be the one that's going to be able to give them the most money. Okay. Are you the owner? Are you willing or wanting to sell? When are you looking to sell? Is it a primary or an investment? That is so huge because there's a stack of benefits inside seller finance, right? That we use inside the pitch that helps the pitch along. Unlike a wholesaler that goes, yeah, I buy it as is, cash, quick close. You don't have to do any showings. And they shoot out all the benefits when the seller didn't even fucking ask. They didn't even ask. Are you the owner, willing and wanting to sell? When are you looking to sell? Is it a primary or is it an investment? Occupied or vacant? Loan or paid off? Those 6 in that order will get you farther down the pipeline than 90% of your fucking competition. With no other words spoken, not 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 let me think about it. We're trying to get you the most money. None of that. John, are you the owner? Yes. Are you the only one on the deed? Awesome. Are you willing or wanting to sell? Well, what do you mean? Well, some people are looking for an offer and some people are looking to sell. Which one are you? I want to sell. Great. When are you looking to sell? Well, I had it on the market for 14 months. It didn't sell. Awesome. So you're ready to sell now? Great. Is it a primary? Nope. It's a rental. Awesome. Is it occupied? Yes, it's occupied. Who's it occupied by? It's occupied by this tenant. Awesome. Is it paid off or is there a mortgage on it? It's totally paid off. Let's get into the tenancy. Let's talk about the tenants now. And then we get into the tenancy. And then we get back to the ownership and we move this little chess piece around so that we can effectively put these deals together. Okay. So I'm going to give you that flow chart so that you don't get off track. Okay. So you'll get the 10 by 10 mini course. You'll get 10 hours of training. I threw in it's more like 14 hours of training. Uh, Once you get it, I'll let you in on a little secret. Once you buy this thing, I added so many bonuses to this thing. I like to over deliver for everybody, so I added so many bonuses to this thing. You'll get the flow chart. You'll get the matrix, which is an underwriting tool. You'll get it's not a script. It's a sequencing of questions in chronological order so that you know exactly how to go about it. And then most importantly, this is the real kicker, is I'm going to give you a 30-day free trial into a private group of investors that have all been through my training. Okay. Now, after the 30 days, there's a monthly fee attached to that. If you need ongoing training or whatever, right? This is, I don't want to lie to you about anything. This is for you to understand the importance of being able to pull out a creative option, the theory around it, and then the how to, so that when you come into that mastermind, because they're not weekly Zooms, they're not monthly Zooms, they're monthly masterminds, and that word kind of gets thrown around loosely, like strategy and value. A mastermind is when I go out, fuck up three things, or Arnulfo goes out and fucks up three things. Um, Melissa goes out and fucks up three things. We all meet in the room and go, "What'd you fuck up?" And then we share with each other so that I don't make the mistake. Arnulfo doesn't make my mistakes. I don't make Arnulfo's mistakes. And I've made all the mistakes, so I can help you out there. Okay, so you're going to get 30 days free trial. All you got to do is in this comment box right here. So just be careful, because once you go on there, it's going to pull you off to the page. Just punch in here cash 100. Use the same code, and it's going to get you $100 off, and that gets released on Friday the 13th. Scary day, but a good day for most people. So Friday the 13th at noon is when you're going to get all of that stuff. It'll get emailed to you. This is a pre-sale. I've sold so many of these things over the past week, along with the seller finance training, and the discount is going to go away come Thursday night. Okay, so now is the time. If you want to get your hands on one, you're more than welcome to it. The goal is to have you inside my training so I could show you just how much money you're leaving on the table. Because I promise you, you're dropping bags like crazy. I teach some of the top teams in the country, and the bags that they drop are insane. So I'd like to kind of make it so that you don't drop those bags, and ultimately you could start to build a portfolio for yourself. You don't need any money. You don't need any experience. You don't need any credit. That's no cap. You don't need any of that stuff. You need the one skill set that's going to exponentially increase your ROI. And that one skill set is understanding creative finance, more specifically seller finance, and it's all in the way you pitch it. So all you got to do is comment down below cash 100. It'll send you to the checkout page. Use the exact same thing for the code, and you get $100 off. It's like a $200 product or some shit. All right, who's got some questions for me? Who's got some questions? Let's go. All right, let me do this. I got to do this. I am here. Let me do this. Also, if you want to get involved in a free webinar, I've got a webinar coming up this Friday, where I'll be going over a little bit more of a deep dive on how to get these things going. Let me just put this shit up real quick. Okay, there we go. We'll be going into a little bit of a deep dive on more of the strategies and more about how to talk to sellers, talk about like leads, not just your typical shit like how to generate them. That's easy stuff. It's just understanding like what you do with those leads, how you treat them, difference between inbound, outbound, and what those conversations look like. Um, there have been in the past 12 months, we've put together almost $5 million worth of multifamily deals for my students alone. No cap, no bullshit. All verifiable stuff. So, what's up, John? What's up, Deepak? What's up? What's up? So that is the seller finance. That is the mini course. Just comment the word cash 100 and use that same code, and that will give you $100 off. All right. Anybody have any questions for me? All right. So that's part one of the series. Part two of the series is going to be on Wednesday. This was part one. Wednesday is going to be part two. Friday at the webinar is going to be the webinar. I'm going to do a little bit of more of a deep dive. And then part three is on Sunday. So make sure you tune in, set reminders for you guys to tune in on this stuff. I'd like to have you engaged in here and asking some questions. The only dumb question is the one you don't ask. So ask. If you don't know what you're doing, it's okay. I didn't know what I was doing at one point either. And most of the multimillionaires that I know all started in your spot at ground zero. So let's do that. Let's go right. Okay, got that. We got that. All right, awesome. Questions? Let's go. I don't want to sit in here in silence. Let's do it. No questions. I'm going to dip out. There's 8 of you on here. One of you have to have a question. Just ask. Just ask. All right. Awesome. Unless there's a buzzer beater, no worries. All right. I wish you guys the best. I will see you. Make sure you set the reminder for Wednesday at same time. I think like right around 7 or 7:30. Go ahead. Last chance. You can comment the word right down here. Cash 100 with a K. You can use the same code to get $100 off the 10 by 10 mini course. You're going to get that, a bunch of bonuses, stuff to help you get your creative real estate journey started. And you're also going to get a 30-day free trial into the mastermind group, which is awesome. All right, listen, if you're going to be original in any way, shape, or form, you can guarantee you're going to be copied. You have a good night now. All right, there we go, Facebook. If you are still on here, here is the link to get, that is the link right there for the 10 by 10 mini course. We've got a free webinar coming up this Friday. You can scan that code right there and take part in the webinar. It's completely free. I'll go for about an hour and a half, talk to you about creative finance. That's something you might want to take advantage of. And then again, if you are interested in the seller finance mini course, that's what the mini course looks like. And if you are interested in the real deal seller finance training, this is not for everybody. This is for people who are really looking to take their business to the next level. This is for the ones that ultimately aren't playing any games. The ones that are committed, you can get involved in the seller finance training, which is, I don't know, right at about 40 modules. So it's super, super crazy. Okay. All right. Listen, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you being here. We'll see you next